And for the record, I just feel like I should tell you my feet are not filthy. It's the black dye from inside my boots.
Okay.
So they look like that.
I just assumed you were dying.
I have not shuffled through soot and then drug it into your house.
I just assumed you had really bad circulation.
I mean, I do, but not that bad. No, that's the inside of my boot. Sorry.
Welcome once again to Noah's Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
I am Hillary.
And I am Josh, a.k.a. the Gentile Giant.
You are tall.
So before we begin the episode proper, do you have anything you'd like to mention about a previous episode, a hit or a miss?
No, I have no notes.
I have a good hit.
Okay.
But it's for this episode.
Oh!
Because what I have here are Hanukkah cookies.
Amazing.
I'm going to open them.
Okay.
Live on mic.
Excellent. Good sounds.
Uh-huh. But if you would like to...
Yes, I would like a cookie, please.
Have fun while we're celebrating
goodness,
Hanukkah.
Yes, that's so fun. They're like little animal crackers, but Hanukkah shapes.
Mm-hmm. And on the back panel, we can cut out this design here and make our own dreidel.
Absolutely, we can make our own dreidel. I would
Except
love to
they
learn the
spell
rules
it-
of the dreidel game, actually.
They
That'd be really
spell
fun.
it D-R-A-Y-D-E-L.
Dreidel.
Dreidel.
I've never seen it spelled that way.
I'm pretty sure that's not how you spell it. Maybe it's...
Well, it's kind of like Hanukkah has like 12 different spellings.
That's true.
Maybe dreidel does too.
That's true, because this is the CH Hanukkah, but the H-A... Who knows?
Who knows?
Anyway, so that's our hit for today.
Sweet, I'm going to open
Yeah, open the
It's going
bag.
to make crinkle sounds,
I know.
okay? Are you ready? Ha ha ha! Success! We'll be right here by the mic for us to crinkle towards.
And so, if that doesn't give you a hint of what we are doing, let's ask Hillary.
Oh.
What are we doing today?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Josh. We are doing a movie called The Hebrew Hammer.
The Hebrew Hammer, in its own description, at least somewhere. Yes, anytime you hear chewing, just assume it's cookies.
And probably Hillary.
And probably Hillary. No, I'm gonna eat some cookies. The Hebrew Hammer, in its own words, is the world's first Jew-sploitation film.
That was going to be my opening line, god damn it.
Oh.
The world's first Jew-sploitation film.
That's your one sentence?
That is my one sentence.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, let me do my one sentence.
Okay.
Since I kind of stole yours.
Stole from
It was
me.
an accident. My one sentence is, I feel dirty just watching this thing.
Yeah, you're good. Here's the thing. In this episode, I will be playing the role of the very well-meaning, if deeply uneducated, Gentile woman.
Mm-hmm. As I probably will be too.
Mm-hmm. Gentile
Fellow.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about Judaism.
I know very little, and I'm not going to pretend to know.
Right.
But I will probably say something that might be offensive to somebody somewhere. I have no idea.
Yeah.
You can let me know. I am very open to being wrong.
Right. But if you've seen this movie and are going to take offense to something we're going to say,
Oh, yes. Absolutely not. Yeah.
maybe fuck yourself.
That, you know what? I'll get behind that too. Yeah.
Because
If you haven't, the movie sets itself up to be discussed very loosely and, I mean, loosely meaning,
without the sort of being kind, politically correct sort of idea.
Yeah, it's definitely not politically correct.
Correct. Yeah. So it's intended to be, if not offensive,
Right.
irreverent.
Definitely irreverent.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you it's not so irreverent that I feel comfortable saying the N-word.
Right. That is not going to happen on this show.
That is not the line that is going to be crossed.
But it
today.
is in this movie.
Yes, it is.
So to give you an idea of what it is. If you're not aware of what the Hebrew Hammer is, it is Adam Goldberg,
Mm-hmm.
Judy Greer,
Yes.
and what's his name? Andy Dick.
I fuck hate Andy Dick.
I hate Andy Dick too. But it's those three people primarily
Yeah.
in the world's first Jew-sploitation film.
Yes.
Adam Goldberg is a private eye called the Hebrew Hammer.
Yes.
He takes cases in this movie for the Jewish Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
He has a partner in...
It's Jewish Shaft.
He's Jewish Shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've ever seen Dolomite or Shaft, that's what they're doing, except he's Jewish.
Yeah.
So they play up just like those movies played up the blackness.
Right.
This movie plays up the Jewishness.
Right.
The plot of the movie is that Santa Claus, played by Andy Dick, the new Santa Claus, wants to destroy Hanukkah because he hates it for some reason. Because he's a racist, I guess.
I think it's just racism, yeah.
Anything you want to say before we begin?
Not really. We call it Jewsploitation because that is kind of I don't even know if he uses that exact word, but the director himself, this takes a very obvious note from the blaxploitation era of filmmaking. And they try to, it's more like the original blaxploitation, like the Sweetback, before Hollywood decided that they could make money off of that genre and therefore kind of took the power away again.
The reason I said the world's first Jewsploitation film is because I saw it somewhere, I don't know where, but it was in official material at some point. So someone had the idea.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's just go ahead and start, shall we?
Okay.
The first shot of this movie is a quote, as so many movies we do are. It's very strange.
It is strange, you're right.
This film is dedicated to all the Jewish brothers and sisters who had enough of the Gentile.
Yeah, bring it
on.
on.
So I guess we're not helping.
I like it. I like being disliked.
So we get some nice Jewish-inspired music to open us up, and we get a cut to Hanukkah past. And we see a young Mordecai, who is our main character. He's walking into elementary school, St. Peter, Paul, and Mary Public Elementary School.
Yes.
Get it? Peter, Paul, and Mary, it's a joke.
Heyo. Gentiles.
Once he's inside, 3 children taunt him with Jewish stereotypes.
Yes.
One throws a penny at him and claims to have dropped it. Don't you want to pick that up?
Yeah.
I dropped my penny.
Because you see, Jews are cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Is what they're getting at. Everything's very in your face.
Another one offers him a bagel, because Jews love bagels, apparently. And a third tells what they call Jew-nose, because that's Mordecai, to save some oxygen for the rest of them, and he pretends to choke.
Yeah.
He's all like, I can't breathe, you have giant Jew-nose.
Children are cruel.
It's so weird.
Kids
are Jews supposedly have large noses?
What the fuck?
I don't know these things.
Yes, you do. You have to know that. That's one of the main things.
I have a large nose. I'm not remotely Jewish.
No, you're black.
That's true.
I
know that part.
Big nose.
Oh, okay.
You got the wide nose. I got the hook nose.
Okay.
Either way, I'm jealous. I like interesting noses.
Yeah. As those 3 are taunting Mordecai, a 4th child walks over to tell Mordecai that if his people don't wise up and accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, they're going to burn in hell.
Yeah, she gets intense.
We went straight to it.
Whoop. Even the other kids are like, whoa.
Yeah, everyone's
breaks,
like,
Mary.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, that 4th child has no chill at all. Now, we're continuing with the school day. And as the other kids are celebrating Christmas, we see Mordecai stuck with his dreidel, because all he gets is Hanukkah gifts. So the other kids are getting bikes and puppies and all manner of amazing gifts.
This is all happening at school.
It's all happening at school.
Yeah, the most we ever did was make a Santa door stopper out of a piece of wood. Yeah.
But Mordecai just has a dreidel, and he spins the dreidel, and he says the dreidel, dreidel, dreidel song. And he's just very sad because he's left out of Christmas. And his teacher gets up in front of the class and preaches the value of tolerance and wishes Mordecai a very happy Chanukah, Day 7, before giving a speech about how we can still love and respect Jews as our equals, even though they control all the world's money, they're cheap, they have stupid names and stupid customs, etc.
Right.
I feel racist as shit just watching this. And now I have to go through this entire movie and describe it. So anything I say, I want to disclaim it. It is not my words.
No, this is what's happening
in the movie. It's just this movie.
Yeah, but it's from the point of view of Jewish people making fun of Gentiles for being so fucking hateful without even realizing it.
But also making fun of themselves.
I mean, kinda. They're leaning into it.
Yeah, but that's making fun of yourself, right? When you lean into the Jews are cheap thing, which we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, the only Jews are cheap thing comes from the ignorant people in the film.
No?
Am I missing something?
You're missing a little bit. We'll get there.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
On the way home, young Morty is confronted with just rank bigotry because there's signs up in every store in the block
Yeah.
that no Jews are allowed.
Yeah.
Until he gets to one place where it says Jews are okay for about 5 minutes. So he sits outside this shop and plays with his dreidel when Santa comes out of nowhere and crushes it underfoot.
Yeah.
While giving little Morty the finger and laughing.
There's not a lot of subtlety in this movie.
There's not at all.
I'm going to say 0. 0 subtlety.
This is presumably a different Santa from the Santa that will pass on the Santa title to Andy Dick.
Yeah, this seems like maybe more of a drugstore Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, a Santa crushes his dreidel and laughs at him and gives him the finger.
Yeah.
Because he's a Jew, and fuck him.
Yeah.
This movie's insane already.
Straight, yeah.
How many minutes is this?
I wonder what their point of view is.
So we now cut to a grown-up Morty, and he's being one cool-ass motherfucker over a song very reminiscent of the Shaft song.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they even say, like...
It's a real song.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. This one is... do you remember one single word from it? Because if it gets started, I can sing the whole goddamn thing.
No, sorry.
You know? Whatever. It's a sweet-ass 60s, 70s...
Jam,
yeah.
Okay. Well, just to establish how cool grown-up Mordecai is, he is offered an old woman's daughter for marriage, but she is, of course, very ugly. So he wears a very long coat. Mordecai, of course. He wears a long coat. He wears a big hat. He smokes cigarillos? Cigarettes? Long cigarettes?
It's just a cigar, isn't it?
I don't know. But it's like long and thin. It's not like cigar.
Yeah, it's probably one of those marijuana cigarettes. One of those jazz cigarettes. Probably not. No, you're probably right. It's probably a cigarillo.
Yeah. But as he walks through town...
Pimp. He looks like he's a Jewish pimp.
He looks like a pimp.
Yeah.
And as he walks through town, he draws the attention of all the pretty ladies. He retrieves a bullied kid's yarmulke. He threatens the bully. And he implores the bullied kid to stay Jewish before he goes to his office where he works as a certified, circumcised dick. Which is this movie's version of a private eye.
Yeah.
So that's what we know about
it's fun wordplay.
The Hebrew Hammer.
Right into the blaxploitation aesthetic.
Certified private dick.
Mm-hmm.
It's or certified circumcised dick. It's, I don't know. So now we're going to go to the North Pole because we need to meet our bad guy. And as he's getting ready for the Christmas season, the current Santa has been characterized by being tolerant and understanding of other holiday celebrations. But while he's giving a speech about how we have to understand and appreciate other people's traditions, Andy Dick is here, and he's messing up the presentation by being very Andy Dickish.
Someone could say, ruining the movie by his presence. He's never been funny for one moment in his life, and I do not and will not ever understand how he got so much play in the 90s and early 2000s. Like, he was in fucking so many things, and the worst part of everything he ever did. And apparently he's a shitball in real life. So, like, why? Why did this guy have any kind of career?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Go on.
But he's being very Andy Dickish.
Yeah.
If you know anything about Andy Dick, you'll know what I'm saying right away.
Yeah, offensive without the humor.
Yeah. But he plays Damien. And he is the heir to Santa. Santa's son, I guess.
Just not even kind of hiding it. Sure, name him Damien. Just in case nobody gets it.
And he plans to wipe out Hanukkah and has thus made the naughty list. Mm-hmm. And as Santa calls out Damien for making that naughty list, Damien calls out to the reindeer, who turn on Santa and murder him, allowing Damien to be the new Santa.
Yeah, their trigger word, by the way, was ho, ho, ho.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he says ho, ho, ho. And then blades shoot out from their foreheads, and they murder Santa in shadow.
Yeah, and Santa, what does he say? Like, A2 Blitzen?
Yes. A2 Blitzen. Yep. We get a Caesar moment.
This guy was someone pretty famous, right? The guy who was Santa?
Maybe. I have no idea.
Oh, he wasn't kind of famous, but he's the guy from Office Space who was the I go from the customer to the engineers because the engineers can't talk to people.
I believe you. I've only seen that movie like once or twice.
In his interview for like keeping his job, they're like, so why can't the customers just talk to the engineers about what they want? It's like, because I'm a fucking people person!
I don't remember that.
And he gets really upset, which, you know, he's...
Yeah.
It's funny, but that's what I remembered. I recognize him from.
Gotcha.
Office Space. But I wouldn't say he's famous. He's just Office Space. He's got that.
There's a lot of this. Like, there's a lot of people in here you recognize. You can't really place them, but you know that they're around a lot.
He's got that iconic role.
Yeah, we got Tiny Tim coming up. I meant to look up what I know him from, but he's been in a ton
everything.
of stuff. Yeah, at least back in the day.
Damien is going to move forward. He's going to try to destroy Hanukkah. And back in New York, the Jewish Justice League is convening because they are trying to save Hanukkah. They're talking about the new Santa and how he has plans to destroy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
And they need a spy to keep track of Santa's moves.
I'm just stoked that any other holiday is trying to get saved, because there's so many movies about saving Christmas.
I know.
So many movies about saving Christmas. And there's really only one to watch, and that is Ernest. I say that not ironically. It is the best.
Well, in this scene, we're introduced to Esther, played by Judy Greer, who I looked up and found out is not at all Jewish.
Is she not?
No, apparently not.
I just assumed because she was in this.
Right.
Yeah.
She was born and raised Catholic. Her parents are not Jewish.
Cool.
She just happened to be Catholic.
Her nose was enough.
Yeah, her nose was enough. Judy Greer plays Esther. And Esther comes out and suggests that they get our main character, Mordecai Jefferson Carver, the Hebrew Hammer, to be this spy. To keep track of what Santa's up to. The problem is, the Jews of the Jewish Justice League have kicked Morty out of the gang, so he won't have anything to do with them anymore. Apparently he's a little too cool for the Jewish Justice League.
Way too cool.
He's just so fucking awesome.
Yeah. Down. He's a down brother.
He's a down brother. So Esther is going to persuade him to rejoin by showing a little leg. That's what she more or less says.
She just, well, that says, it pans down, and she kind of lifts her skirt a little bit.
It's very, very subtle.
Very subtle.
But everyone in the room freaks out.
Yeah, including her father, who's like, stop looking at her!
And everyone's just like, you know, like creepy thing guys do, and they're just staring and sort of mouth agape.
The male gaze?
Ah, yes. That's the word. So she gets a lot of male gaze, and it skeeves her out.
Yeah.
But clearly it works. So that's good for her. I don't know if this is supposed to be a stereotype about Jewish people, or just men in general.
I think it's just men in general.
Okay. I'm more comfortable with that. Because the idea of, like, even...
No. They're not, known to be lecherous.
Okay, that's what yeah. Casting an entire group of people as lechers is uncomfortable.
It is.
Even if you're on their side.
Unless we're talking about men, because then that's all of them.
Right, that's different.
Yeah.
Because
100% men are lecherous. Quote me on that. For sure, quote me.
Esther heads to the office of the certified circumcised dick because she wants to hire Morty. And we get an old school noir style intro where Morty is narrating about the things that is going on.
The dame walked into my room.
Right. Oh, the things I would do to her.
Yeah.
Or whatever he says.
If she weren't a client. Even if she wasn't a client.
And he also says, oh, the things that I would do to her if I wasn't so flaccid.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out that what we're hearing, the narration,
yeah,
it just notes that he's listening to in his office from an old case.
Right. So we hear it, and it sounds like his inner thoughts. And then she goes, what are you listening to? And then it pans to his recorder.
Right.
Classic joke.
Right.
Classic.
And he tries to cut it off, but he fast forwards it to the part where he's fucking the client that he was talking about, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
And so Esther has to hear him fucking.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the jokes fall flat because they're so overdone.
I was actually going to say that. So this joke works.
This movie worked better as Austin Powers.
This joke works, I think, if you end it at what are you listening to? Yeah. And he cuts the thing off. When they fast forward it and it's a sex tape now, it's like, I get it.
Then he fumbles with it and awkwardly, and it's supposed to be like physical comedy at this point, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like a failed attempt at a mixture of like Austin Powers, which was already a parody of things, and then like Airplane, like the Airplane type humor, which is my least favorite humor. The like very obvious in your face.
But it's just sometimes when you double down
Don't call me Shirley. Fuck you. I hate Leslie Nielsen.
Sometimes when you double down on a joke, it helps the joke. In this case, it did not help the joke. It did not. It took away from the joke. Because it would have been funnier had they just left it at, what are you listening to? Oh, right, that's my notes.
It would have been funnier if anybody in this movie was funny. I'm going to go ahead and say it. If we had one funny person in this movie, it would have been a funny movie.
I think Judy Greer is funny.
I don't.
But obviously she doesn't have the
I want her to be funnier than she is, and it's like one of those things, like, I feel like I should, as a woman, I should support her, because she's a woman who's rocking it, she's in so many things, and she's in comedic things, which is hard for women in general, but fuck, man, I've never found her funny for one moment. She's my least favorite character in Archer.
Oh, she's Carol Cheryl?
Yeah.
Isn't she in You're the... No, not You're the Worst.
She's in Arrested Development. She's not funny.
Married.
I never watched that.
I think I've seen some of that. I think I liked it.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the joke isn't, like, offensive because of the sex tape. It's just less funny than it could be.
Right. No, what's the word? It's just like...
They drove it into the ground.
There it is.
So Esther tells Morty about the brand new Santa, but Morty turns down the job because he won't work with the Jewish Justice League, and Esther pledges not to leave his side until Morty agrees to meet with the Jewish Justice League. So now, she has to come to dinner with his mother.
Yep.
Which is a classic Jewish stereotype.
We are getting set up. Yeah. Set up for the Jewishest of Jewish.
And as we meet his mom, we find out, of course, that she's very overbearing, and she's very excited to see her son.
Very manipulative.
With a woman. And she brings him inside, and she feeds them an obscene amount of food, which takes them apparently 6 hours to eat.
Yep.
And then after they try to stop eating, Mom guilt trips Morty into eating everything on his plate because there are starving people in China.
And there's a Chinese man at their table for some reason.
Yeah, that's the...
What the fuck was that?
I don't understand this
I don't understand that joke.
At all.
I guess it was trying to make that, like, the trope of the starving people in China thing, like,
yeah,
literal.
It didn't work.
It did not work. Once again, we're going to be slowly, explaining and describing jokes that just barely don't work through the entire thing.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This movie's not great.
It's not good.
It's not good.
I wanted it to be better. I was actually pretty stoked about it.
I remember somewhat enjoying it when I was a high schooler, but again, I was a high schooler.
And I don't think it's just for not being Jewish. I feel like that.
No, it's just not good.
It's just poorly done comedy.
Yeah.
It's a poor attempt at comedy.
Yeah. It's so over the top that it's, like, less funny.
Yeah, it doesn't have a good sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So there's a random Chinese man at the table. She feeds him a bunch of food. She guilt trips him into eating. And then, because she's a Jewish mother and she wants to hook her son up with the woman that he brought to dinner, presumably they're already hooked up, she points out that there is a reason they call him the Hebrew Hammer.
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
Which embarrasses him, and he runs off to the bathroom. While he's gone, Mom tries to make a deal with Esther that she will convince Morty to help the Jewish Justice League if Esther will help her son settle down for a nice woman. Maybe come to dinner every so often and throw in just a few blowjobs.
Yeah, very uncomfortable. That woman, I think she was on SNL for a long time. I meant to look that up, and I'm going to do that now in real time.
That's fine. I'll talk about Mom while you're doing that.
Okay.
Once Morty is back at the table, because Esther and Mom had made a deal about getting him to help, Mom goes into a full yell about her son's life choices, and she wants him to get a real job. And now, of course, Mordecai is upset because all of a sudden saving Hanukkah isn't enough for his mother. So now he's going to do it out of spite. Because what we have learned from this scene is Mom is a savage.
She's savage. And he's weak.
Well, it's the stereotype of...
I know, but also, how many years has she been manipulating him? He has learned nothing? He knows nothing of her tactics?
Yeah. Yeah, because she, like, starts talking about, oh, he's just his private eye, and he doesn't even do any real work. He could be a doctor or a lawyer. And he's like, oh, I'm not doing good enough for you? Saving Hanukkah's not good enough for you? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it out of spite.
Yeah. It's kind of a good scene.
It's actually kind of funny.
Scene, yeah.
And the way it works. And like you said, he's a 30-year-old man. He hasn't figured anything out.
He's nearly 30 is what she says, but I swear Adam Goldberg has to be at least 30.
Adam Goldberg, in this moment, is 48. So by the time this movie was made, he was at least 30.
Okay, because he seemed 30-ish.
He was at least 30.
Okay, and
almost 50
nailed it. The mom she was on SNL from 85 to 90.
What is her name?
Nora Dunn.
Nora Dunn. There are people listening to this right now who know exactly who that is and are shaming me for being an insane Saturday Night Live fan and not being able to name exactly who that was. So the next day, in order to spite his mother and save Hanukkah, Morty heads to the Jewish Justice League. And in order to get into the secret base of the Jewish Justice League, you have to pass a bunch of tests to prove how Jewish you are. Do you remember any of these?
I do. I remember all of them.
Tell me about them.
The first test was... Give me a moment. Oh, fuck. I don't remember the name of the holiday. But naming all of the dishes in a specific Jewish holiday in alphabetical order. I feel bad for not knowing which holiday. I don't know them.
Whatever.
The second one is showing your musical aptitude. So,
oh, right. He played like a violin or something?
Yeah. And, he played a violin. He played a Jewish song on the violin.
Right.
Again, don't remember the song. And then the third one was he was just put in a room. Oh no, third one he had to like disrobe and a machine decided whether or not he was circumcised.
Right.
And then the fourth one, he just enters a room and nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And you slowly watch him lose his mind. And by that I mean just slowly start whining harder and harder.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like a whinometer of some sort that is gauging his level of whininess until it reaches the Jewish.
Which is the highest level on the
highest
monitor.
level of whininess, yeah. And then he's let in.
So that's a real thing that happens.
Yeah.
And he talks about the Jewish Justice League, about how to solve the case. And this leads him to head over to the Kwanzaa Liberation Front. And he is greeted warmly as the leader of the Kwanzaa Liberation Front and the Hebrew Hammer exchange racial slurs.
Yeah, but it's cool if they do it.
Yeah, this is again one of those moments where we said, these are words we're not going to say.
We're not going to say them.
But the movie was very comfortable.
Yes, and again, I think it's fine. It's fine that they're comfortable with it.
Yeah, but
it does put us in an awkward spot.
It does not work for me. I'm not going to do.
Not going to say
that.
either of those words.
But Morty picks up some intel from the Kwanzaa Liberation Front, where there is an elf who was kicked out for being a black elf. Mm-hmm. And this is the same guy. It's
the little person from
Bad
Santa. Yeah.
And a couple other things, but he's like Vern Troyer was the other famous little person.
Right.
This is the second famous little person.
Correct.
The black guy.
Yes. Aside from Tyrion Lannister. Peter Dinklage.
Right. Sorry.
But he's like the high art.
Right. He is such a good actor, it's hard to notice. Yes.
Unless he's trying to do a British accent, in which he really struggles.
Oh, does he?
Well, I mean, on Game of Thrones, do you not get his attempt at an accent in Game of Thrones?
Everyone's accent is so weird, I don't assume they're trying to do British. I assume they're just doing an accent.
I feel like he's trying to do British.
You might be right. I don't know.
I don't know. Either way, he's great.
Yeah, he's great. And he's great in your Game of Thrones, except if you have a problem with his accent.
He's my favorite actor. He's my favorite character. What little I've read of the books, too, Tyrion was my favorite.
Yeah, Tyrion's the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not a question.
Tyrion,
really.
Second place, Arya. Can we argue?
Not really. I might choose Arya first because I love Arya.
I love Arya.
Yeah, but it's Arya or Tyrion. That's really it. Jon Snow is good too, but he's like...
I could care less about Jon Snow.
You know nothing about Jon Snow.
Jon Blow.
Jon blows.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I know.
You heard me.
So he gets some intel from this elf. And he also learns where Damien is going next to meet some of his people who are in on his conspiracy to destroy Hanukkah. So, we're now cutting to the bar where they were supposed to be heading, meeting, where the Hebrew Hammer quickly realizes that it is a trap, and this bar is a neo-Nazi hangout.
Yes.
Undaunted, despite the very aggressive stares he's receiving, because he's just the coolest motherfucker.
Yeah, he is.
He goes to the jukebox and casually puts on a song before he goes to the bar and orders a drink. And it's, I think, a very Jewish drink. He asks him for Manischewitz.
Is that what he asked for? Yeah.
I don't know if that's a liquor or what.
This is the black label.
Yeah, so I don't know what that means.
That would mean Johnny Walker to me.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I don't know.
But the point is, he orders Manischewitz at a neo-Nazi bar.
Right. But with confidence, so the bartender pours it.
That's right. He says, they don't normally serve your kind, calls him a racial slur, but he offers to make him a drink before they lynch him. Morty offers to pay in shekels, and he's really playing up his Jewishness in this moment. And then he starts a fight.
He's like, I just got back from Israel. All I have is a handful of shekels. And just like, plops
and he like throws it at the guy's face or something. Yeah. And so he basically starts a fight. And it ends in him destroying everybody, kicking everyone's ass, and lighting a Star of David in front of the bar. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where it becomes curious, because for some reason, in the next scene, we catch up with Damien Claus, and he thinks that the Hebrew Hammer is dead.
Yeah, I didn't know if I missed something. I guess I didn't.
Miss anything.
There's no reason for that.
Morty goes into the bar.
Yeah.
With the neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
He kicks everyone's ass, and he lights a Star of David.
And
that doesn't seem like the neo-Nazis won.
Well, no, not at all. And it didn't seem like that was a real plot. We never really got a sense that was Sansa's plot in the first place.
Right.
So it's like if we thought Damien was like conspiring and who's like, you know, they're gonna murder him and blah 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 as soon as he walks in, and then it like later cuts to him like assuming that had happened, it'd be different. But there's nothing really.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Like the idea of sending him to a neo-Nazi bar so he gets lynched or whatever makes sense.
Yeah.
But we know that the Hebrew Hammer easily destroyed everyone in the bar and then lit a Star of David.
Right.
So, like, does he have no follow-through? He didn't bother checking? So I just don't understand how he thought that it worked.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No, poor storytelling. Go on.
So, apparently the black elf who Morty had gotten the information from was a spy. He was sent to send Morty to the bar to get him killed by the neo-Nazis. So now he asks Damien Claus if he's considered an official elf yet. And Damien points out, do I have any colored midgets in this place?
Yeah, it's just... The word's being thrown around.
It's fucking terrible.
It's fucking terrible.
But I wanted to emphasize...
The thing is, if it's funny, you can kind of get away with things like this. It's not funny. Especially being Andy Dick saying it. Because you know he's an actual hateful bastard. Like, in real life, he's just a piece of shit. So, this is the kind of role that Andy Dick takes because he gets to do that whole thing. It was like, it's comedy, it's in the script, like, it's and it's really just an excuse for him to be a dickwad. Yeah.
But yeah, he points out that there's no black elves. And he asks
He uses the midget word a lot.
A lot. But he says, do you think you're going to be the first?
He never gets called out on it, which is another failure of writing.
Yeah. But the elves point out, after he does this, the rest of the elves point out that they're working in sweatshop conditions. And so they begin to strike. But this causes Damien to embrace the sweatshop conditions, and he brings in actual children to replace the elves. And we now learn his real plan, the next plan. And it's to unleash the most addictive Jewish pride-weakening substance known to man onto the streets of every Jewish community for free. This is where we meet Tiny Tim, who is Damien's...
We met Tiny Tim before this.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
But he's Damien's
kind of like,
henchman.
yeah, he's his Igor.
Yeah. He is the literal Tiny Tim from The Christmas Carol.
Right.
He still has a crutch.
Yeah. He attempts to do a Cockney accent, which gets made fun of in the movie, so it's okay. Because it's terrible.
But it's a big build-up to a big joke. Like, what's the most Jewish pride-weakening substance known to man? And that substance is bootleg copies of Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
I've never seen this movie. Does it weaken the Jewish pride?
It's a Wonderful Life is just so saccharine and so Christmassy and like good spirited. It's Jimmy Stewart. You cannot get more shucks than Jimmy Stewart. I don't enjoy it. I don't. That's one of those ones where, like, when I ask anybody their favorite Christmas movie, most people say It's a Wonderful Life. And it's one I haven't watched in years, and I don't watch.
Okay.
Ever.
We now cut to a montage that follows Tiny Tim spreading the movie, and it's beginning to affect the Jewish youth. And as Hebrew Hammer drives through the streets, he notices that some of the children are being indoctrinated. So he counters with his own bit of indoctrination, Chaim Potok's The Chosen. This is apparently supposed to encourage Jewish pride.
Yeah, he has a trunk full of Jewish movies. By that I mean the three. Yentl, Fiddler on the Roof, and this one. So
Morty calls the Jewish Justice League and tells them to spread The Chosen to counter the It's a Wonderful Life problem. And for his part, Morty is going to go infiltrate the Gentiles at Kmart because Damien is going to be there being Santa.
They make Kmart, they make the Macy's. It's the Macy's in New York that they put Kmart over. So that's significant because of like Miracle on 34th Street. It's just another Christmas thing. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Yeah.
I got you.
So they just put the Kmart logo over the Macy's thing on the New York Macy's.
So Esther and Morty try being undercover to hilarious effect. Because they reject a bacon cheeseburger that was being given away. And they badly quote the Bible frequently. And they also refer to all other people as Gentiles. She
just plays it like he fails straight up trying to like play the role of
the joke is that he tells her how to be undercover,
right? And then she just turns on the sexuality,
and that turning on the sexuality gets them into the lair of Santa, where Morty is confronted with Damien Claus as well as his sexy Santa's helpers.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, they're just women who are dressed scantily clad and apparently are hanging out with children. So first, before they properly speak, we see Damien indoctrinating a child against Jews, and Hanukkah in particular. I don't remember what he says exactly, but he's like, they're dirty.
Yeah, he's just like...
he says crazy shit about Jews.
It's just all the normal stereotypes.
Yeah, they caused 9/11. I don't know. Whatever he's saying.
Yeah, it's like everything bad is caused by... Yeah.
So Morty comes in and he points a gun at Damien's head. And Damien tries to make it up to him, and he sends the sexy helpers to try to seduce him. And it begins to work, while Damien makes very vulgar gestures at Esther. He does He is Andy Dick towards Esther. He's Andy Dick towards Esther, yeah. He does I don't know what you call it.
I don't know, like the fake cunnilingus?
Yeah.
Like with the fingers.
With the fingers and the licking, whatever.
It makes me throw up in my mouth, his existence.
But he's trying to, like, be weird to Esther while Morty's all distracted by the sexy ladies. But eventually he notices that one of them is wearing a cross necklace, and this is apparently enough to get him out of it.
Yeah.
And so he ignores the boobs, and he breaks out of their spell. And so he and Esther attempt to kidnap Santa. When they're taking Santa out of the room, Morty tells him to calm the children down so they don't freak out too much.
Yeah.
So, of course, Damien takes the opportunity to claim that the Hammer is planning on personally canceling Christmas. Mm-hmm. So Esther and Morty are chased out of the Kmart by angry children.
Yeah, despite their ability to just say, no, we're not.
Yeah, just yeah,
maybe
or
say
kick the children.
Say anything.
Yeah.
Say anything. Yeah.
So they end up trapped in a storeroom, and they are eventually brought to the Underground Jewish Railroad by Harriet Tubman.
Yeah. It's all so fucking...
And they ride through a collection of the worst things that have ever happened to Jews.
The weakest comedy.
Hold on. Let's get to the weakest comedy, because this is a list of the worst things that have ever happened. It's the Egyptian slavery.
Yep.
Then the Holocaust. And then a woman's credit card is declined.
Yep. All the same.
And that's the most devastating of them all.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hate this.
I do too, and I wanted to like it so much.
I really did.
I really thought I would.
Okay. So Esther and Morty make it back onto the streets, and they go get a drink in his apartment. And Hammer shows off some of his dance moves, and basically this leads to them fucking.
Yeah, I guess.
And while he is seducing Esther, he has to do some dirty talk. That's what she asks for.
Yeah.
So he talks about having a lot of children with her.
He does Jewish dirty talk.
Right. So he's like, I want to have a lot of babies with you.
Yeah.
I want to get a steady job. And I want to send those kids to private school.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell me what to do every day.
Yeah.
And we want to raise those kids with an assertive, democratic style with a healthy dose of liberalism. It's kind of funny.
That's probably one of the funnier moments. Yeah.
It's a goofy dirty talk. And goofy dirty talk's always kind of funny.
Agreed.
I think.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But in their post-coital bliss, Morty tries to figure out what Santa's up to, when Esther eventually spills the beans about the deal that she made with his mother. Which motivates Morty, I think, reasonably, to freak out a little bit.
Yeah.
When he realizes that his mom is his pimp.
Yeah.
And he's so sick of being objectified by her. So, he breaks up with Esther because he's not sure if this is really going to work, and whatever, he's weirded out by it, which he should be, because it is weird.
Yeah. For
your mom to be like, make this happen.
Right.
That's what
basically he found out that the only reason Esther was with him was to, like, be a part of his mom's manipulative scheme to get him to save Hanukkah.
Right. And Esther's claiming that's not what it is.
Right.
But it's hard to take it as anything but.
It's true. It was poor timing on her part.
Especially from his perspective.
Right.
Like, we might know as the audience that she just really likes him. But it's, even then.
I mean, they have no chemistry, so it's hard to believe.
Has Adam Goldberg ever had chemistry?
He's really hot.
Do you
I think he's really attractive, yeah. If he was funny, he'd be very attractive. Mm-hmm. But instead, he tries to be funny a lot and fails usually to me. For my brand of comedy, he doesn't really strike that chord. He is physically attractive.
Okay. Before they can finish their conversation proper and break up or not, whatever, they get a call from the leader of the Jewish Justice League, who is also Esther's dad. And so they go to the office of the Jewish Justice League, where they watch a video where Damien tells them of his plan to destroy Hanukkah within the next 24 hours. He's going to eliminate the Jewish calendar by extracting the rare element Judaism from the Jewish atomic clock that is outside Jerusalem.
Yeah, I didn't follow this at all.
The Hebrew Hammer intends to handle this job alone, as it's very dangerous. And also, he's done hooking. because he's not over the Esther sex thing yet.
Yeah, he's very hurt.
And Esther's dad is wondering, like, what did I miss? What am I missing here? And he says he'll explain when he gets back. And so he leaves the room in a huff. After he leaves, her dad sends Esther to follow him, very predictably, because he's crazy.
Yeah.
And he's going to need the help.
Yeah.
Which is fair.
It is fair.
Once he has arrived in Israel, there is a joke with Morty where he's at a rental car company, and the representative keeps spitting in his face every time she says a word that begins with C, like Hanukkah,
right,
or car.
No, what's the car he's trying to get? It was like
Cadillac.
Yeah, a
Cadillac. And it's a very bad joke, but they spit in each other's faces.
Yeah.
Until eventually he just settles for a motorcycle. And he's going to use this dope motorcycle to save Hanukkah. So we now find Damien and Tiny Tim at the clock with elves, and they are beginning to suck the rare element Judaeum out of the clock. Just as Mordecai bursts in on his motorcycle and he begins a gunfight, he murders a few elves.
I'm not gonna lie, this is where I drifted. I don't even remember this scene.
It's fine. It's the end, and you made it almost all the way through. He murders a few elves, but Esther shows up to back him up, and she confesses to loving him. But he confesses that he loves her back, and he apologizes for freaking out. He's just a little sensitive, he says.
I like that. No, I thought that comedy stuck a little bit. Like,
okay.
that line stuck.
I'm just a little sensitive.
I guess, like, a little sensitive sometimes. It's like that, and then they go, like, over the shoulder, like, shit, like, just kiss.
Oh, yeah,
over the shoulder kiss, and then back to firing. Mm-hmm. It was funny.
Okay, so let's go back to bad comedy.
Okay.
Because Mordecai has Tiny Tim and Santa trapped behind a table as he fires his guns at them. But we notice that the sun is about to go down.
All right.
And just as it does, Mordecai and Esther get very, very sleepy. And they literally fall asleep right there on the floor in the middle of this warehouse.
Anybody got to guess why? Got to guess?
You got anyone you got to
guess
why? Well, Santa and Tiny Tim realize that it's because today is Friday and the sun just went down, making it the Sabbath. Which is
the day of rest. Whoa.
So Morty and Esther, in Damien's words, can't even wipe their own asses now, let alone shoot at people. Mm-hmm. So they're safe. They've got them beat, and it's exciting for all Gentiles.
Yeah. That was such a sincere sigh.
I'm trying to get through this, man.
I know, we are. I know. It's late in our day, really.
It's late in our day, and this movie is really, really, really
awful.
Bad.
Yeah.
But
still better than everything else we've ever watched.
Yeah, it's true. Except for Dogma.
But that was a gift.
Yeah. And you know what movie I kind of like, despite its terribleness?
That.
The Masked Saint. The movie is awful.
Of course you did, because you love wrestling.
I know, and it's such a stupid take on wrestling.
Meanwhile, like, the only one I would mention outside of Dogma would be that football one.
Oh, Facing the Giants was probably
well
the most...
done. It's
good. The most legitimately decent movie we've seen. Man. That's like traditional Christian cinema.
I know. This one should be on the same list as Dogma for us, but it's just not funny. And maybe I just had too many high expectations. Like, go on.
No, I had low expectations and it still sucks.
I had higher expectations than normal.
Santa goes over to the sleeping heroes to gloat, and the elves begin again extracting from the clock, just as Tiny Tim is ordered to kill Mordecai, while Santa kidnaps Esther. So the clock begins to wind down, and as it does, the Kwanzaa Liberation Front arrives, and they save Mordecai from Tiny Tim. He escapes, but Tiny Tim escapes.
Alright.
But Mordecai is rescued. So now, we have bad news. Santa still has Esther. So Mordecai and the leader of the Kwanzaa Liberation Front are headed to the north. They're gonna try to save her. Morty's given permission by the leader of the Jewish Justice League to unleash the ultimate weapon of Judaism. But we'll find out what that is later. So we're going to the North Pole now, and Mordecai and his friend carefully infiltrate Santa's compound when they are confronted with a stereotype alarm system. If either of them does anything stereotypical for a non-wasp, this is how Morty explains it.
Yeah.
It will sound and give their presence away. Good for them, then, that the Kwanzaa Liberation Front leader detests watermelon and is a horrendous basketball player.
Yeah. Good thing.
These are his words.
Yes.
Despite being the one to warn them about the alarm, though, Mordecai gives them away when the other guy drops a few pennies out of his pocket and Morty stops to pick them up.
Yeah.
This is what I was saying earlier when you were saying...
I mean...
They're not going to lean into the Jews are cheap thing.
Yeah.
He literally drops coins out of his pocket and Mordecai goes, "Oh man, don't you want these coins?"
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh shit, come on, man."
I would do the exact same thing. I cannot pass a penny without grabbing it. I don't care if it's been run over so much that you can't even tell it's real money.
Yeah.
I pick up every piece of change I see.
I only stop for dimes.
And it's not cheapness, it's poorness.
I mean, ladies. Haha.
What?
I said I only stop for dimes.
Oh, shut your whore mouth.
I'm making a very stupid joke.
Stop being part of the problem.
Okay, I'm done. Mordecai gives off the alarm by trying to pick up the coins, and they end up separated. So Morty is attacked by elves, while the other guy chases Tiny Tim and does, in his words, what he should have done all along. He steals his crutch, making Tiny Tim useless.
Right.
This I actually liked.
That was funny.
It was funny. Cause
Of course the black guy makes it funny.
Right, because they talk about how they've apparently come in conflict before, and he let Tiny Tim go last time.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna do now what I should have done long ago, and you think he's gonna murder him. He just takes his crutch, so Tiny Tim can't walk. So he's like, this joke worked for me.
Yep, nope, that landed. Agreed.
The Hebrew Hammer, after he takes out the elves, confronts Damien Claus, or Santa, who runs away after distracting him with the promise of a bowl of matzo ball soup. Now, to be fair, this joke is not good, but matzo ball soup is delicious.
I hate it.
You really?
I can't stand it.
Wow.
I've only had it once.
I didn't know you were a bigot. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm hateful as fuck. Are you kidding me?
No, I love matzo ball soup.
It's too glutinous. What is it that it's made out of?
I don't know.
It's just, it sits heavy for
It does
me.
sit heavy.
Yeah.
It's a heavy soup.
And I don't like feeling weighed down like that.
Yeah, I get that. But, it's fine.
Flavor-wise, it's fine. It's just not something I can
You just don't like the heavy. Okay,
Right.
That's fair. So, Mordecai eventually catches up to Santa in his own lair. And they fight. And Santa gets the upper hand by stealing his gun. So now he's left with no other options. So Morty does unleash the ultimate Jewish weapon.
Mm-hmm.
He crosses his legs, and you think he's going to meditate. But what he really does is begins complaining that Santa didn't set anything out to eat. Is this how you're going to treat your guests? You're not going to set anything out to eat?
Jewish guilt, you can't fucking beat it. It's like Catholic guilt, Jewish, it's the same thing.
And to the credit of the movie, Santa does realize that he's being assaulted with Jewish guilt.
Right.
So at first he resists. But Mordecai just continues complaining so much that he develops multiple voices, and it has this like effect.
Yeah.
And so it begins
More like hypnotism.
Yeah, and it actually begins to shatter glasses that are around them. So at the end, Santa begs him to take the gun back and just shoot him in the head. Just end this for me. Which is how I felt about this movie.
Yeah.
So it's suitable.
Uh-huh. Shootable.
Shootable. I don't know why I like that joke so much. I hate you. So Morty saves Esther and Ed Koch.
Yeah.
Who was just in this room.
He was a New York governor or mayor. Mayor?
But like, what's the joke here? I don't get it.
He's like a hyper Jew. He's like
Okay.
a Jew that the Jews would
So
look up to
Santa
in
kidnapped him too. Just cuss.
I guess so. I think they just got a lucky break on a cameo is what happened.
That's what
here.
really happened.
The dude's rad. The dude's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. He was at the Battle of the Bulge.
Okay.
Why do I know that?
Okay. But Mordecai goes back to gloat before Santa, and he tells him, "You never even understood the true meaning of Hanukkah." So Santa asks, well, what is the true meaning of Hanukkah?
Mm-hmm.
And he gets told that it definitely has something to do with
Dreidels.
And latkes.
Latkes. Definitely latkes.
And some kind
oil.
of miracle oil.
Oil lasted 8 days.
And as we learned from last week's episode, we know the story of the oil. We don't know about latkes.
I feel like we know more than they do.
But he says...
Who's the Gentile now?
But he says, it's about that stuff, and that should be enough to know. So, at the end of the movie, we're wrapping up things. Morty proposes to Esther, who happily accepts. And so we cut to Hanukkah, where Morty is celebrating with his new beautiful fiancée and his wonderful mother, and his opportunity to help his community. Sorry, that's what he is celebrating, not with whom he is celebrating.
Yeah.
He's happy about these things.
Mm-hmm.
His mom guilt trips him further about his work. After all, he only saved Hanukkah, and he might have something to brag about if he had saved Yom Kippur or Passover, one of the high holidays.
You can never satisfy a Jewish mom, is what we've learned.
So she talks about the investment banker son of one of her friends, and Mordecai points out that this guy's a literal pedophile, but apparently even that's better than her son saving Hanukkah. So they argue until they are interrupted by the sound of Christmas bells, and it's revealed that Santa has become a democratically elected position.
Mm-hmm.
And so the black elf that was earlier in the movie and had betrayed Mordecai.
Of course, two men would nominate that guy.
That's right.
The only thing we know about him is how he super embraced Kwanzaa. He super embraced Kwanzaa because I guess he got to fuck a lot of ladies and drink and do all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, natural born leader.
But yeah, the little black elf is the one who's the new Santa. And he wishes us and the people in the movie a Merry Christmas and a Happy Jew Year.
Yep, hilarious.
Ugh, I hated it.
Yeah.
All right, but the movie's over.
Yeah.
We did.
It was only like an hour and a half, right? Something like
it was 80 minutes, 90 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. 80 minutes probably closer to.
So before we, move on, let's talk about what's the best and what's the worst.
Okay.
What's the best thing about this movie?
Best thing about this movie, give me like a second, I'm like right there.
While you're doing that, I'm going to eat this guilt.
Do it. Eat that guilt.
Gilt.
Oh, I know.
Not Jewish guilt.
Eat that Jewish guilt.
This is a big one.
Probably tastier than Catholic guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Catholic guilt's bitter. Okay, for once we're watching a movie that is not about Christian persecution. Instead, it is Jewish persecution, and at least it has attempts at humor where the Christians take themselves very seriously. So, yeah, this is one of the few ones we've done that is not Christian-based.
That's fair.
Still kind of the same genre, but
I
appreciate an attempt at humor over no humor.
Right. Well, to be fair, a lot of the movies we do watch have attempts at humor, but they're, if not...
They are very, very poor
Like, you remember, what's his face? Clarence from Brother White?
Yeah, no. They have attempts at humor within movies, but the movies are super serious themselves. This set out to be a comedy.
Yeah.
The fact that it fell flat has nothing to do with the theme. Like, the whole genre was supposed to be a comedy. Yeah. And Adam Goldberg's hot. That's it. Those are the two upsides. My best is going to be, I really liked the leader of the Kwanzaa Liberation Front, whose name I believe he was the only one who landed some humor, he had good comedic timing.
I believe his name in the movie was Muhammad Paula Abdul.
Muhammad Ali Paula Abdul.
Muhammad Ali Paula Abdul.
Something.
Rohim or something.
Yeah.
I liked him. I thought he was funny.
He did a great job.
He didn't, I guess this is more a writing issue, but he didn't, do all the weird racist stuff that's, really uncomfortable. He didn't call anybody a... Yeah. Well, no, he did. Yeah, you're right.
No, of it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I take it back.
He did it. He managed to pull off the humor better than anybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what's the worst thing about this movie? I know our answer. You want to say it together?
Is it everything?
No.
I don't know what you're going to say.
Oh, come on. It's Andy Dick.
Oh, God, of course. I'm just I want to say everything. I was thinking everything. No, you're right.
The worst thing about this movie is Andy Dick.
Andy Dick's existence just needs to... I actually feel like nowadays, Andy Dick is not a thing anymore.
He's not, right.
When this movie came out, he was
so prevalent.
He was so prevalent. He was so prevalent for so long. He was on Good Things, too. He was on News Radio.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great show.
News Radio is so fucking good.
It's so good. Why was he on there? The show would not have suffered from his
absence.
Yeah, his non-participation. Whatever. We hate Andy Dick.
Right.
And to the kids listening out there, don't even bother looking him up. You don't need him in your life.
You really don't.
So
Andy Dick's not funny.
He's not funny. He's garbage.
All right.
And I can't believe he's not dead of some severe STD infection or
Drugs.
drug overdose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to our next segment.
Okay.
Do you have anything like this that you'd recommend watching instead?
I don't know a lot of Jewish comedy movies.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
It's not a great movie, but I kind of liked Guilt Trip. The Seth Rogen, Barbra Streisand movie.
I didn't see it.
I saw it years ago. But I kind of liked
when
it.
It came out?
Yeah. But I mean, it's a Jewish comedy. It's about him being Jewish and his mom is Jewish.
I love Babs. I love her.
It's got...
if you wanted a Jewish drama, Yentl is the way to go.
Right. But
heavily Barbra Streisand.
I'm not going to say, like, it's the best movie, it's the best Jew movie or anything, but it's a fun little movie that's easy to watch.
There's a Jewish element to The Night Before, which I wanted to be
The Night Before the BBC series? Or the HBO series?
No, I think it's called The Night Before, the one that was like him. It was,
the thing
Seth
I'm thinking
Rogen.
about might be called The Night Of.
Is it The Night Of?
Maybe.
The thing you're thinking of is The Night Of.
Yes. Okay.
I'm talking about The Night Before.
Okay, I was like, Riz Ahmed is not Jewish.
This is like Friday, like next Friday to Friday after next.
Okay.
No, they're not connected like that.
Okay.
No, but it's like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael B. Jordan, I think.
And Anthony Mackie?
Is it Anthony Mackie?
I think it's Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie, not
with Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes.
Yes.
It wasn't a very good movie.
Yeah, but it's better than
this.
Right.
Watch that, not this.
Yeah, Guilt Trip, again, it's not an amazing movie, but it's better than this.
Gotcha.
And it's fun, and it's about Jewishness, like this is about.
Yeah, there's some Jewish elements.
Yeah, and they lean into the stereotypes, but not in a way where they have to call anybody the...
You know what? Watch 8 Crazy Nights. I actually liked that movie.
Sure.
I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler gets a bad rap because of his willingness to do anything to hang out with his friends.
Yeah, Grown-Ups is a nightmare.
But fucking man, he's he's a king of comedy to me because of the 90s.
Now, one thing I will say about Grown-Ups.
Okay.
While it is not a good movie, their chemistry is excellent because they are just
they're
friends.
best fucking friends.
Right. So, like, all of the parts where they're just ribbing each other.
And I love all those guys.
Right. All the parts where they're just
I had a weird crush on David Spade for a long time.
I get that.
Yeah. You get it?
Yeah. But all the parts where they're just talking shit to each other are actually fun because they're friends who just talk shit to each other.
Basically improv. The entire thing is just them actually getting to hang out.
So, like, Grown Ups has minor parts here and there where you're like...
It's not like Jack and Jill.
Yeah,
which is unforgivable.
Just Adam Sandler's ego.
Unforgivable.
All right, so now it's time to talk about what we're doing next week.
What are we doing, Josh?
And you remember how I've been hyping you up for something I have planned?
Yeah.
Well...
What's it?
Let's find out what it is.
You have written down on a card, Kirk Cameron month begins with Way of the Master.
So Kirk Cameron month is beginning. We're doing a month of Kirk Cameron stuff.
December is going to be Kirk Cameron month.
Yes.
Are you ruining December for me?
Yes.
I hate that you have this power.
Way of the Master.
What is this?
Is
I've never
Kirk
heard of it.
Cameron's TV show.
Oh, no. Oh, is it the one that What's-His-Face was on?
Ray Comfort is also on it with him.
God.
In fact, I believe some of the episodes we're watching are the one where he made the banana analogy.
Banalogy.
Banalogy. So, the ones we're going to watch are The Way of the Master, The Firefighter, Episode 1.
Okay.
And Episode 2, The Mirror of the Ten Commandments. Did you know that Kirk Cameron had a TV show?
I did because we already watched some of this.
Way of the Master?
Yeah, because of Kirk Comfort.
We watched like
Kirk
a minute.
Comfort is what I just did. I swooshed them together. Ray Comfort. No, I watched that episode with you.
Mm.
So yeah, I did know that.
Well, they have 4 seasons with an upcoming 5th.
Sweet. Oh, good. So they're succeeding.
Yep. So we're going to start at the beginning where we get to see little baby Kirk.
No, Baby Kirk was on Growing Pains.
Baby Kirk is the way of the master.
We should watch Growing Pains in this month. Can we watch Growing Pains in this month?
It's not religious.
We should watch the first episode his wife is on. Just the two of us for fun. It can't be part of this.
Absolutely.
We can watch them fall in love on that stupid-ass TV show.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
But that's what we're going to do. Kirk Cameron month. We're starting.
All right. Bring it on.
I'm very excited.
Bring it on. I will do my best to prepare myself. It's going to be a lot of wine. There's going to be a lot of wine this month.
As there was in this episode.
Yeah.
I might be a little intoxicated right now.
I'm quite Comfortable, thank you. Are my teeth gray like a Dickens character? Because that means I have had wine.
And remember,
Ooh.
if you do like our show, and I know you do, you heard it all the way through this.
You love us.
Please give us some 5-star reviews in whatever podcast app or service you are using to hear it.
Yeah.
And tell your friends about us because we need you to spread the word.
Mm-hmm.
Links to everything are in the description of this episode that includes social media and our website, where you can go to send us a comment or a question so that we can do a mailbag segment.
One day we're going to have a huge-ass mailbag segment. We're going to keep compiling all the ones coming in. Yeah, we're going to have to keep compiling the ones coming in, and I'm just going to pick the best ones, and then we're going to have like an answer segment.
That's right.
Like an answer episode. That's what I mean.
Ah, yeah, that'd be cool.
An episode of just answering the hot takes.
The hot takes.
The hot questions.
Here's a hot take. Disney needs to stop making live-action versions of their animated movies.
God bless you.
Because
God bless
they're
you for
shitty.
saying.
Because they're...
Actually, here's what I'm going to say. Disney needs to stop collaborating with Tim Burton.
Oh, that's fair too.
His ones are the terrible ones.
As always.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you guys. You're
the best.
Bye.